This conference will now be recorded.
You can still hear us okay, right, Deb?
Yes, you're coming through.
Thank you. Okay, I wasn't sure if I hit a button. Thank you. Here we go.
Did you guys have that thunder last night? The thunder last night? This was like about 6 o'clock. It literally struck like right next to our house. It's like-
Everyone, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, call the meeting to order. Welcome, everyone. First order of business is approval of the agenda. Do we have any changes, Bruce?
No changes, Mr. Chairman, but I would note that planned to be carried over to this meeting were resolutions 2024, 14, 15, and 16. They've been carried forward from a couple of prior meetings that related to vacations of a couple of right-of-way and a vacation of a plat. And I think that the applicant has decided they got out of sequence, they got ahead of themselves, and they're going to be going through planning and zoning and then coming back and revisiting these vacations after they get the plats done. So they've been pulled, withdrawn by the applicant. Otherwise, I don't know of any changes.
Move to approve the agenda as presented.
Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second for approval of our agenda. All those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Do we have any conflicts this morning? Okay. Approval of our regular meeting minutes from April 23rd, 2024, and the board of equalization minutes.
Move to approve. Second.
Okay, so the motion and second for approval. All those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Pleasure on the bills, gentlemen. I had mine answered.
I've had mine answered. I'm good. Motion to approve.
I'll second it. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Did you get them picked up, Bruce?
Yep, thank you.
Okay. Alrighty, personnel, Ms. Brenda. You gonna handle that?
I will. I'll make a mess first. All righty, the first order I have is a cell phone stipend for Crystal Stalkin, Kimberly Atkins, and Krista Schroeder, effective on May 19th, 2024, and it'll be $50 per month, and that is a budgeted item.
I was gonna ask if they all would use them out there, if they're around the house, not often enough so if they don't need it.
Say that again.
I was gonna ask whether they all would use them out away. Or
Yes,
if
they-
they're
they-
Away from the office. Enough.
Yes, yes. Yep, they're all out and about, stationed in other spots throughout, in the county throughout as we're setting up for the election.
Thank you.
I move to approve the cell phone stipends as presented. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for approval. All those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Uh, Okay, the next one is invasive species. We have this is a step raise for Dalton Davis. He was employed last year as well, so requesting to be a sprayer GPS 1, grade 2 at a base pay of $17.92. That's effective on May 6th.
Move approval. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for approval. All those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
And then Logan Kusler, he is a new hire, sprayer GPS 1, grade 1, base pay of $17.01. This will be effective on 5/7.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for approval. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
And then I have the step raises for the sheriff's department. Zachary Wasmuth, correction officer 2, grade 3, base pay of $25.34, effective on 5/19. And Troy Thompson, correction officer 1, grade 3, base pay of $23.86, effective on May 19th. And Anthony Panza, deputy 2, grade 2, base pay of $31.74, effective on May 19th. And Brett McNeil, deputy 1, grade 3, base pay of $30.51, also effective on May 19th.
I move to approve both as presented. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
And I have 2 classification change also for the sheriff's office. This is for Tiffany Reynolds. She is going to a full-time correction officer 2, grade 1, base pay of $24.33, effective on 5/14. And then Mackenzie Gerald is going to part-time correction officer 1, grade 2, for base pay of $23.39, and this is effective on May 8th.
Move approval. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for approval. All those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. You left, Brenda?
Yes, I got Lamar Anderson. This is in the highway department. Nope, never mind. Yes, this is the highway department. Nope. Lamar Anderson is a new hire. Sorry, correction officer 1, grade 1, base pay $22.93, and this will be effective on 5/27.
Move to approve. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for approval. All those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, and then Ryan Gray, This is for a heavy equipment operator, grade 1, base pay at $29.51. This is a full-time permanent position effective May 20th. And this is to replace Robert Skibbe, who retired.
Second.
Okay, a motion and a second for approval. All those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Chairman, if I may ask, I was request if you could make a motion to allow additional hours of accumulated sick leave for Amber Voigt, a planning and zoning administrator.
She gonna give that to somebody that's
No.
sick?
No, right now our policy states that for a emergency for funeral, you are allowed 40 hours. And I think she will need more hours than that, so.
I would make the motion.
Thank you.
Sorry.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you. Also, a request from Brett from the Equalization Office to allow the approval of donation of sick leave for Tassie Ranapa per Article 4, Section 4.1 of the Lawrence County Personnel Manual.
Would move to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for approval. No further discussion. All those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
That's all I have for personnel.
Travel request.
I do have a travel request for Jamie Pasika Olson, Patrick Johnson, Stephanie Brooks, Richie Walk, and Brian Dean to attend the administrative training for the computer control door system at Acute Controls Incorporated in Milwaukee, Wisconsin,
This is part of the new jail project.
Yeah.
It was budgeted for.
to train, for training.
I move to approve the travel request.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second for approval. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Auditor's account with the treasurer. Mr. Brenda,
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
or do you have any more travel requests?
Nope.
No, I'm
Okay.
just,
Housekeeping.
all righty. Auditor's account with the treasurer as of April 30th, 2024. Total amount of deposits in the bank is $56,939,193.40. Included in that total is the Collier CD for $5,257,173.07. The bank balance of $37,868,912.87. The US Bank balance is $12,141,272.17. The money market, $1,671,835.29. Total amount of cost cash is $1,350. Total amount of checks in the treasurer's possession not exceeding 3 days is $1,104,998.54. The cash is $25,371.68. Petty cash is $2,725 for a total of $58,073,638.62.
Move approval.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for approval. Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. All right, declare surplus, one taser to be destroyed.
Chairman, if I may.
Yes.
The sheriff's office requesting, there's 3 different items. There's a Taser X26P, there's a radar stalker DSR 2X, and then Astro XTL 5000 mobile radio, and they're asking to surplus and destroy these 3 items.
Move to surplus those 3 items.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for approval. All those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Letter of support, Rapple Springs Sanitary District Clean Water Project.
Mr. Chairman, I'm not sure who's here, but for your consideration is a draft letter asking you to support the grant through the EPA. Anybody here from Apple Springs for that? No, I think the letter's self-explanatory. Kind of predicted that this would come to you. Be looking for authorization for the chairman to sign.
So moved. Second.
Okay, a motion and second for approval. Any further discussion?
Yeah. Will there be any cost to the county on that?
No.
All right. All those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. All right. Raffle request. I think we've got a couple, right?
There's two of them, Mr. Chairman, if I may. One is from the Northern Hills Republican Women. The details are as set forth in the application. Be looking for motion not to object.
I'll move we don't reject either one.
The other one is for the Spearfish Chamber of Commerce. Again, the details are as printed.
I would second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second.
Do we know what they're raffling on?
Not to object. Any further discussion?
Wasn't listed on here.
I think it's a rifle. isn't it?
I'm not sure. It says cash raffle with 6 chances to win. So I don't know if it's just cash.
That's,
Okay.
yeah, the Republican women is what I was.
Oh, no, I don't know exactly what they're.
I believe it's a rifle. Okay, all those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Rick Whiter, Lawrence County Search and Rescue President, purchase of snowmobiles, it's listed as trade-in, which is not gonna happen. They're gonna surplus them and auction them off later, right? Paul?
Yeah, the plan is we're gonna, grab these ones. They're giving us 3 for a really good deal. So what we wanna do is take our budget we have, just supplement the budget you guys gave us for those snowmobiles, which is $4,000, and try to fit that in. And hopefully, we're planning, we won't need to come for a supplement later. So that's our plan. That's what we're trying to do.
Commissioner Clyde.
And when you sell the old ones, that money goes back to the general fund, is that
Yeah,
correct?
exactly.
So it'll offset
Yep.
what you're asking for.
Yes, it
additionally.
does.
That was my question.
It'll go back into the emergency management fund. not the
So
gen-
it doesn't
doesn't
come back to the general
It
fund.
goes back into the emergency management fund, yeah.
Okay. Any
But
further
not the
discussion?
budget, right? It's not in the.
No,
budget,
it's just in your
the
cash.
fund.
Yep, it's in your cash.
Do you use them, Kyle, the ones you have now?
We use them, but the problem is with the ones we have, they're only for trails. We can't go off trail. And if we have to go search for somebody off trail, we want to have 2 people. So we were trying to get 2 sleds, but they're giving us a 3rd one for minimal cost.
Thank you.
I move to approve.
Okay, we have a motion, for approval. I'll second the motion. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Recognize, this is Amber's award, isn't it?
It was. From time to time, employees receive awards, Mr. Chairman, or get some kind of continuing education degree or something like that. So it's not unusual for it to be on the agenda to be recognized.
Congratulate her on that. July 4th holiday, Governor declared July 5th for administrative leave.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I think that Governor Nome has declared the Friday after the 4th of July as administrative leave for state employees. So the perennial dilemma comes before you about whether or not you will use your discretion and allow the 5th to be the county offices closed that day. It is not a scheduled holiday. Only the 4th is, the Thursday. Same argument, same discussion applies.
Okay, gentlemen, pleasure on this.
I'll move we reject the 5th of the holiday.
Do we have a second?
Do we need to do that?
It is a part of our personnel manual.
It says we
You
may,
may.
we
so.
may
Do we, I guess I'm
recognize.
wondering if we need to have a motion to reject or if we just don't make a motion to approve.
Either one works.
Okay, I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion to reject the 5th as a
You know,
legal holiday. Further discussion.
discussion. Businesses I've had if you have a holiday like that on the 4th, you don't get anything done on the 5th anyway. So you might as well let them have a long weekend in my mind. They're refreshed when they come back on Monday and enjoy it. So I'm going to vote against it.
Well, and then also the state computers and everything will be shut down, correct?
Yeah.
Which makes it difficult to do business, is that?
Treasurer's
If they would have an issue, they wouldn't have anybody to.
Any support? I think it affects DMV.
All right, we have a motion and a second to reject.
And I understand and support those notions. My only thought is that a lot of our taxpayers that are working that day, and I think that the county employees should also be working that day.
Okay, further discussion. Seeing none, Brenda, would you do a roll call vote for all those in favor of the motion before us to reject?
Okay, Flanagan,
Nay.
Tisdale,
Nay.
Sleep,
Yes.
Jennings.
Yay.
Hewitt. So it fails 3-2.
Do we need another motion then?
Motion to approve allowing them to have the 5th off.
Okay, I'll second that for discussion. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion for approval will say aye. Brenda, again?
Flanagan,
Aye.
Tisdale,
Aye.
Sleep, Jennings.
Aye.
Hewitt.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-2. Thank you
Okay.
all very much on behalf of myself and all the employees.
Bruce, you're gonna take care of the sheriff's department?
I will, Mr. Chairman, for your consideration is a follow-up on the Aberley utility easement. Yeah, I have the proposed easement submitted by Black Hills Energy. There is an exhibit that depicts the location of the proposed utilities, and we did go back and double check to make sure that that location matches where the stakes are on the ground. And for example, Commissioner Jennings and Sheriff and I and Tim Agonaugh have been out on site and have seen where the location is staked and have represented that to you before. And so it is in that location. So be looking for authorization of the chairman's sign.
I move that we authorize the chairman to sign the easement.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and second for approval of the signature. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Just one.
Two. Yeah, one signature. Yeah.
One minute.
Right on the order, of course. And then, Mr. Chairman, quick update on the Firewise project. Rob Maddox keeps me updated on what's going on. Progress is going forward, no problem. I think there was one area that was fairly steep, so they've kind of changed their approach there a little bit, but otherwise, no issues. As a matter of fact, where the Aberley approach is at, apparently in the last few days when there were some storms, a bunch of, I'll call it garbage from the work site has blown over onto the hill. And so RCS was out collecting garbage yesterday from Aberley's property. A bunch of stuff had blown over there. So we're being good neighbors. But otherwise, I had nothing else to report.
Any progress or further updates on our tree planting, if we need to do that, or where we're at on that?
Well, I think it still remains the same. There are actually two areas. I was able to get a clear copy of the easement agreement. So there are two areas where, when appropriate, you plant the trees. And so that remains, an open question of when appropriate, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Does Aberley's property follow the road on the east?
I don't think so, no.
Okay, we've got about 4 minutes to burn up here because we have a scheduled public hearing for 8:25.
Two of them.
I would say it's refreshing that our updates from RCS are getting a lot thinner. We're
Yeah.
obviously getting closer to being complete.
76%, according to the bill.
I think July or September 20, Or 25th, I think, is the scheduled completion date, I believe.
And I'm talking to some of the people that are working up there, things are going very well.
There will be some change orders coming to you probably sooner than later for some things like phone, I think, in the lobby area, some drain adjustments in the Sally Port, some minor things like that. And
Nothing major.
no, not too consequential at this point that I can think of. Subject to change. I think we've gotten through most of the rough period.
It's the phone in the lobby, public phone or?
I'm not sure exactly what it does.
Is it maybe like these things we got in the hallway?
Something like that, I think maybe, yeah.
Is that
It's like-
what's in the hall?
They're like video conferencing phones. We can talk to people upstairs.
It's like $1,500, $1,100, so it's,
Because they kind of done away with payphones, didn't they?
yeah, it's not
But
that.
these you can talk to people.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like $1,100, so it's not a great expense. And the drains are a little bit more.
Good question that didn't get answered earlier.
Yes.
Did the sheriff's department, those guys sign their travel and training agreements? I didn't see them in the packet.
I believe that it is all being paid for by them, so it's only costing $70.
Oh.
According,
But don't they, technically anything out of state is not required?
And we can have them do that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's just,
Not
just
a
a question. I
problem.
realize
Yeah.
it may not be much,
yeah.
yeah. We can have
So
them
you're
do
wondering
that.
if the employees sign?
yes.
Yeah.
Anytime you travel out
It
of
is
state
signed
or
on our copy
expand,
here.
it's not a
That-
travel
there's
and
a
training
travel
agreement.
and- There's another agreement.
Oh, there's
that they
another
have to
agreement.
sign,
Okay.
yeah. Typically, if it's over 500, you have to sign one. 'Cause
Okay,
if
I
it's
got
made
you.
within 6 months, you have to pay it back, or if it's over 1,000, you have to pay it back within a year.
No.
And then I think,
Within a year of
I
the
think the
drain.
manual also says if you travel out of state.
Yeah.
So it does, I don't know, that has a number on out of state. It may be, and I may be missing that. I thought it was
One more.
500 or out of state travel.
I can look at that, Brandon.
Yeah, so we've actually got two public hearings. One is for the renewals, and the other is for a new license.
Public hearings either put us behind or ahead. 1 minute.
I will also say that I did look at our timbering operation up at the property there that Squeeze Low is working on, and it looks good. When you get back in there where he's cutting down those trees, you can see there's vegetation on the ground. It's just been too thick to grow grass, and it's a very unhealthy situation, and getting that cleaned up very nice.
Oh, good.
Someone's just joining us here. Let's wait and see who that is.
There was someone trying earlier.
Oh, it's Barb. Okay, hey, go ahead, sir.
All right. 8:25. Board discussion and action on a public hearing. This is liquor, the first one's a liquor license renewal. Brandy, do you want to,
Thank you.
please?
So this is the annual renewals for the 24-25 malt beverage licenses. They go into effect July 1st and expire on June 30th of the following year. We have reached out to the sheriff's office, and there has been no complaints, or we also are required to check for felony convictions, and there has been none of that either.
Okay. Well, this is a public hearing. Is there, if there's anyone in the body of the audience that would like to speak for or against these renewals, this is the time and place, and if you wish to speak to this, please stand up, state your name and address for the record. Is there anyone in the body of the audience that would like to speak for or against the renewals? Okay, seeing none, we'll close the public hearing and offer to the board.
There's been no complaints on any of it.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for approval. Further discussion, Commissioner Slee.
I was kind of wondering where Mule Hill Lodge LLC is.
So do you know where, when you're heading towards Boulder Canyon and you go on Matson Lane, talking about Muley, is that what you're
Yeah.
asking? And then you make a right down there, it's at the end of that.
Just you.
Yep, yep.
How about the Janice Cavern?
That is out in Nemo.
Nemo?
Big Mono.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay. Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Chairman,
Okay, the second
after,
one, Brenda?
Chairman, after the meeting, make sure that you sign all of these. Do you want to do it afterwards or you want to start now? They all have to be signed.
Later.
Okay.
Sounds good. Okay, the second public hearing is for Custer Crossing family. They also have a malt beverage. They are just requesting now to do the retail on-off sale wine and cider. With the malt beverage, you're allowed to do South Dakota farm wines. This one allows you to do all wines. And so this is a request to do that. This license runs January 1st through December 31st.
Is there a limit to the number that's gonna be out there?
All right, again, it's a public hearing on this. If there's anyone in the body of the audience that wants to speak for or against this wine and cider license, this is the opportunity to please stand and state your name and address for the record. Anyone care to speak to this? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and offer to the board for
Motion to approve.
Second.
motion and a second for approval. Further discussion? Steve?
Has Brian gone, no?
Not Brian personally, but we checked with the sheriff's office.
Okay.
Not Brian personally. I think it was Pat Johnson actually, but
Okay, thanks.
yes.
Okay, all those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
All I have for that, Chairman. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Bay, are you still with us?
I'm here.
Your opportunity, sir. We're right on schedule.
Good morning.
Morning.
To start with, they have SDN Communications. They have two locations that they're wanting to install fiber optic cable along the Nemo Road and the Canyon Road, terminating at the AT&T Tower. To be placed in the right of way on the east side of the road, and then in with their application, they have provided a site map. I did reach out to them, asking, about the bond, or, and also my other concern, this is an area where we're going to be doing a paving project this year, and we have, I'm anticipating that starting end of May, early June. We do have a representative from SDN here. If there are any questions, I guess the question I have is how we're going to coordinate this work. If you'd like to come up here and kind of answer maybe.
All right, for coordination, we'll obviously work with Mr. Bay here on their schedule for the road work. All our work should be off of the road surface, so we shouldn't be in the county's way of their construction process. We'll make it clear to our contractor that they need to mind the construction crews and make sure they stay off any in-process construction areas. Versus our previous project, this will be our standard contractor, not the lowest bidder contractor that we've used for the rest of the project. We were able to break the last two tower sites off for our general contractor just because the lowest bidder contractor that we have for the rest of the project is so far behind that RUS was allowed us to break these two pieces off for our general contractor to work on them.
Okay. Anyone have any questions for this gentleman? Okay. John, what's your?
Well, I guess I have no problem. Again, I don't want to be the one to stop any kind of progress as far as fiber optic cable and internet service. I think we should allow this work. As far as the bonding issue with the issues we've had with SDN in the past, they have paid up all the damages that were occurred on other roads. They made good on. I'll say that. Our new ordinance that we just put into place a month or so ago, I did make that clear to them that that we may be implementing that, and I would leave that to you guys.
Okay. So your recommendation.
I'm recommending that we allow this work to continue. I guess it comes down to how we bond it.
I'll move with all recommendations.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to follow highway superintendent's recommendation for approval. No further discussion?
So I'm understanding the motion. The motion then would be to just approve the project without a bond? Is that?
It's up to you.
Motion would be, because John was leaving it up to the commission if we want.
I am asking your guys' discretion on the bonding issue. It is a, prior to issuance of any permit, the applicant, if required by Lawrence County, must furnish a performance bond issued by a responsible surety.
So you've not had a problem before?
We have had problems at SDN in the past where we had to bill them and get paid, reimbursed, but they have made good on paid their bill. Yes.
And we have not enforced a bond in the past.
No.
We've not had a bond.
This is the newest bond. This is the 100% of the estimated cost of the utility in the right of way. This would be the first time we've ever used this bond.
Do we know what the estimated cost would be?
I do not have that information. I don't know if you have that information.
I think it's about 123,000.
I haven't seen any estimates or anything else other than what you have. That's the site map and
Okay. Further discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carried. Okay, John. What else do you have there?
Axles down, thank you. I have an approach on Yellow Creek. Dan and Michelle Essick are requesting approval of a private approach on a piece of property on the Yellow Creek Road. The site distance is good in all directions, and it currently does not have an approach on this piece of property. I would recommend that we approve this approach.
Move to follow recommendation.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for approval. Further discussion, seeing none, all those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
And then the fourth is temporary right-of-way permit. Mark Grandpa with Dakota Gold is wanting to move their water line from where they had the temporary right-of-way permit previously, and they're wanting to move it down the road. I would also recommend that we approve this.
This is the same deal we did last time, just a different location.
Yep, about a quarter of a mile to the north, they're moving their water line. And until we get this bypass, I mean, they're built for the bridge, they can't get water up there. They're drilling, they're exploratory drilling.
Motion to follow recommendation.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for approval. All those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Anything else, sir?
Just a heads up that we did receive for the Pine Island, we did receive their insurance. We had approved that for that MOU for those bike race, the one bike race. They have a second bike race that they have insurance for that they have not applied for a MOU yet. I have reached out to them to get that here. It's not until August or September, I believe. So there is time for that. But they have supplied the requested information for the insurance.
We've already taken action conditional upon that, if I'm not.
Yeah, yep. That's what it said. We put in there contingent upon Lawrence County being listed as a certificate holder and this on the certificate of liability coverage, and that's what they've provided.
Thank you.
We also have someone here from the Forest Service that has, Valerie is here. Me and Bruce met with them on the 3rd, I guess. I don't remember. The 11th. We met with them on the 11th, and they've come to the meeting was about having I guess a Schedule A type of an agreement for road maintenance and what we do. The list of roads that they provided was, I guess, a lot of the roads we do anything on. some of the roads are on our current system, so there's some discrepancy there. We're working on a new list. I guess it comes down to, with our Tinton Road project, for us to receive the funds for that 25 project of improving that 4-mile stretch of Tinton, they're wanting us to sign an agreement. Now, my question is that I don't know if this agreement, and Valerie, I'm sure can answer this, can we sign an agreement just for that portion, or they're wanting an agreement for everything, for the roads we plow snow on and any other maintenance we do? So I would ask Valerie if she has any comments to make on that to share those with us at this time.
So the basis for the road maintenance agreement is definitely for a way to transfer funds with the GOA, which is the Great American Outdoor Act, the money we're getting for Tinton. But as long as we were working on that road maintenance agreement, we kind of just thought it was a good time to revisit what the county is snow plowing and all of the jurisdiction. And we're not asking by no means for you guys to take on any new roads or maintenance. But it's just a way for us to know where you guys are snow plowing and what roads that you guys are claiming jurisdiction on. So it's just to clean it up a little bit.
Okay.
I know all the other counties, Meade County, Pennington County, everybody has these Schedule A agreements with us.
So as far as the Schedule A agreement, to continue on with the Tinton Road portion of it, I mean, is there a way that we can have just a separate agreement on that road without the Schedule A, or are we?
I believe so, because you're working on your master transportation plan,
Correct.
right? And I'm guessing those are not going to line up.
Not even close.
Right. So I would say we would want to get that road maintenance agreement in place so we can transfer those funds. And then if we need to work on the Schedule A agreement, we can just continue to go along that, plug on that with your master transportation plan.
We already have, with the survey work, I think I'm guessing it must be roughly 50% done. They do have some, they have reached out to us, the highway department, requesting a meeting with the Forest Service and the highway department. I think they want to clarify or set the boundaries for the right of way on that section of road. We have spent 15,000 so far on that. I think they capped that at around 30,000 if I remember. So I know that was the next step in that FERDA agreement.
So do we need to do anything?
I don't
today,
think
or-
that this is just nothing more than an update and them wanting an agreement, but we're still in the middle of kind of working on what roads could possibly be in this agreement. There's, like I say, some of the roads that were on their list, we haven't done any work on for years. And then there are roads that are on their list that we claim as county secondary roads. Okay, I guess that's the real problem, is which roads are which and whose.
I don't know that you've had a Schedule A, Mr. Chairman, for about 7 years now. It's been quite a while.
Yeah.
So the county for many years, going back to the early 80s, like 1982, had Schedule A agreements where the county was doing certain work or authorized to do certain work, right?
Well, that was probably a good thing.
They went to private contractor for a few years on their.
It'll benefit both of us.
Yep.
Good time cleaning it up.
Thank you. Anything else, Kyle?
I have nothing else. If you don't have anything for me.
Anyone have any questions or any further discussion for the highway super? All right.
Hey, Sean.
Thank you.
We'll take a quick 5-minute break or.
You already had it.
what do we
That's
say?
the
We
original.
still got- no, we still have the,
That's the original.
I'll take
Oak
it.
Mountain Road
Thank you.
District.
Yep.
The what?
Oh, the Oak Mountain Road District issue, Mr.
Oh,
Collins.
all right, let's take care of that right now before we take the break.
Mr. Chairman, this is set for a discussion regarding the Oak Mountain Road District plat. Mr. Collins is here representing, I think, the owner of the property is Greg Klein. And this concerns, I think, there's lots of information in your packets. I think it's self-explanatory, but concerns who was signed as road authority on the plat. The county initially signed the plat, then I think it expired owing to the fact that they couldn't get it recorded. And most recently, the county has reapproved the plat, and so it's pending again, waiting for that road authority signature so that it can be recorded. And with that, I would defer to, and Mr. Plummer's here as well, who represents the road district.
Okay, gentlemen want to come forward?
Maybe it's appropriate for Mr. Collins to start.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Just state your name and address for our record, please.
Jeff Collins, office address is 909 St. Joe, Rapid City, South Dakota. And I had a chance to talk with Ms. Plummer yesterday a little bit, and this is a confusing issue, which shouldn't be a confusing issue. And so we're going to try, and it starts with the statute. So there's a statute in 11.3.12.1 that requires plats to be approved or signature from a highway authority or the proper, and it doesn't even define who that is, who the appropriate highway authority is. It doesn't give any real guidance to it. It just says you need this for your plat. In talking to Mr. Plummer, some of the confusion here, if you look at what's being proposed here, is my clients, the clients have owned this piece of property from the 90s, and it's kind of inside of where Chipman's property is around it. They've always had an access point, which is up north, that allows them to cross Chipman's into this property. What this proposal does, it's not, and I think the confusion has been, is that this is going to be developed, there's going to be something going on there other than what's really happening, which the plat is proposing that the access point is being changed to bring it down south to make it more convenient for the clients to access the section line to get off the property through the Chipmans and through a new owner in that bottom corner who we have an easement with, which will allow the road to be a lot easier to put in. In addition, the Chipmans and the clients have agreed to move property lines. And that's all that's happening here. And so before we can record it, though, the county, as part of the approval, was that we had to get a highway authority to sign the plat in accordance with this statute. And talking to Mr. Plummer, and he's here and can speak for himself, but he indicates that the road district's concern is, first of all, they're not sure they're proper authority because the access point is actually into the section line, which is controlled by the county, not directly onto the road district road, that you cross the section line and then you get into the road district road. That's one issue, but more importantly, Mr. Plummer has pointed out that in his opinion, this statute only applies when the owner of any parcel of land proposing to develop such land for residential or commercial purposes. That's when it's required. And since that's not what's being proposed, we're not proposing a commercial or residential development. We're simply changing an access point and moving property lines, that this statute doesn't apply, and that no highway authority actually needs to sign this plat to be recorded. And so the question here twofold would be is can the county rescind that issue and not make that a condition? Or then we have, if that's going to be a continued condition, then we got to figure out who the appropriate authority is.
I'll answer a couple questions. And background, little bit of land surveying under Senator Divert, and having worked in the planning and zoning office, and personal interest in just access things, statutes and those kind of things. State law says you have to have road authority sign it, period. The upstairs, they will not take it without a signature in that block. So yes, it has to be signed no matter what, or she won't allow it to go into the Register of Deeds office. That being said, a road district as a political subdivision of the state and a road authority, and they've been in that and paying dues and paying taxes on that that we collect and then give to them. It's very obvious from a common sense standpoint that would be the road district. Why would the county sign a plat inside the city limits? Why would the county sign a plat for the state? Why would the county sign a plat for a road district? It's not our authority. We collect that money, we give it to the road district, they take care of the roads. This is just, it's ridiculous. There's nothing here but signing a plat inside property that's inside a different road jurisdiction than the county.
If you may, my name is Richard Plummer, 217 Flintlock Circle, Spearfish, South Dakota. Still consider myself Belfouche, I guess. I represent Oak Mountain Road District. I appreciate the commissioner's comments, but I would ask you to review the statute and see if your statement is actually correct. The statute requires a proposal for residential or commercial development, and it also requires that the access point abut, that is, connect to a road controlled by the district. This does neither.
I would note too that apart from the statute, the county has separately required a particular certificate to be put on plats that says approval of access, if any, to an abutting political subdivision, highway, or street, and requires that highway authority on there. So we have it above and beyond what the state would require.
One of the concerns that we addressed is that the road district's concern is that if they sign this plat, which again, doesn't allow for any, development of anything at this point, it just simply allows access, changes this, is that somehow if they sign this plat, that they are de facto approving future residential development in that spot. I don't read it that way, but that's one of their concerns as to why they won't sign it. And so I don't think it does that. I think if the owner, whether it be the clients, successors in interest, 20 years down the road, decide they want to develop this piece of property, they're going to have to go through the same process. They're going to have to come in with a plan. They're going to have to replat it. And at that point, the discussion is proper as to what the impact on the road district would be. At this point, there's no change to the impact on road district with the proposal. My clients already have an access point that lets them out. At the end of this plat, it's going to be the same. They have one access point that will let them out onto this road, one for that piece of property. So nothing changes in this other than changes where the access point is and changes the property. But this has been going on for a long time. We got litigation going on, and the end result is if the county insists the road district sign it, the road district has their reservations and won't do it, we're going to continue, and then I have to bring the county in as a party to define what their role in this is. And we just do not do any of this at the great expense to my clients, simply have a plat that does so little.
I think the concern that I've heard from the county commissioners, and I'm sure someone will correct me if I'm wrong, is that if the county signs on this, that somebody, the road district or the owner at some point is going to come in and say, hey, county, you signed the plat as road authority. When can we expect you to start plowing the roads, graveling, doing those kinds of things? So I think that's the county's concern. There is a statute, of course, 11.312, that says that basically the county is not required to open and improve anyway, but by approving a plat. Do we have an agreement here by the road district and the landowner that the county signs the plat, that there is going to be no request honoring that statute for the county to go and maintain this road? That's the untenable position that you put the county in is, and it's not just you, these are others that are looking for the county to come and maintain their roads. And so I think that's the hesitation here. Is that fair to everybody?
Yeah.
That's not mine. That's not mine at all. If does this sit in the road district? Have you been paying taxes to the county collected, then sent to the road district?
Since the road district.
Okay, so the property is in the road district.
Yes.
At some point, it was platted initially when there was a road district, before there was probably a road district formed, with the intent for it to be a residential area. Is that not correct? That's there. You have a building right by the county.
When we bought the property, there wasn't.
No, right. And it was formed after the fact. And you have every right to apply for a building permit from the county the way it is right now and build a house on that property. Is that not also correct? It seems to me that the road district has, maybe the beginning and the end would be where you put your driveway and to keep continuing paying, by taking your taxes and maintain that road. I fail to see, I mean, you can try to compel the county all you want to sign this plat, and it's like, we don't have the jurisdiction to do it. And if we do, I would try to get all my money back out of the road district, because you're getting less than that. You're getting a hassle for paying the taxes that you've been paying. It's just, I don't get it. I just don't get it.
Yeah. And when I talk about litigation from the county, it's because the statute's so broadly and not well defined. It would be more of a deck act.
It's common sense. I mean, I don't know what the hassle is. I've been in a road district for years.
I don't mean to interrupt, but Mr. Outka just articulated all the reasons why the county doesn't want to sign off on this.
Well, I'm also a member of the county, and I don't agree 100%
of the responsibilities incurred by the county should they do so. Well, why would that be any different from the road district?
I'm not.
Okay, can I ask a question?
Go ahead.
We put notations on plats that no bill on plats, correct? We would not put a notation on the plat that no responsibility of maintenance of roads whatsoever is turned over to the county.
So the statute kind of says that, 11.312.
It's on there, okay.
And so the issue here is a little bit subtle. Is there is, I think, part of the current access gets onto the section line. So I think the section line has been improved a little bit already. And I think going forward, if this plat is approved, the section line would be developed a little bit more. So the county does have has jurisdiction over the section line. What you've done recently is you've required people to have agreements to improve section lines, right? And so I think, remember going back with Mr. Klein some time ago, we talked about if that section line is going to get improved, that probably needs to go through you to make sure it's up to standard, right? And that could be a separate issue or part of this discussion in terms of road authority. It seems like there could be two road authorities in this instance. It could be the county and it could be the road district. And if we can all, I don't know if we can all agree that one signs both signs, with the understanding that 11.312 is the operative here in terms of the county's obligation, that might be a path forward.
Yeah, I agree with Mr. Tisdale. Put a notation on the plat that does not authorize development for residential or commercial purposes.
That's not what he said.
No, that's not what he said. And nothing,
Yeah,
any
that's
development
the
that happens
piece.
on this land comes back through us again anyway, and goes back through the road district.
What,
once
do we need a
again.
motion?
So we don't, that's not the issue. My point was that with an understanding with the district and the road, both sign the plat and stating that the district, requires no future road maintenance on their property.
Can I restate something?
Yeah.
So I think the current plat has 2 lots. The new plat would have 2 lots. And so there are at this point, I think, residential building rights on the lots. It's not multifamily. It's one residential lot. And so in order for anything above and beyond that to take place, you would have to have a subsequent plat, perhaps even a change of zoning out there. So I mean, you would see a preliminary plat with, 10 lots or whatever that would be. And that would be, to me, would be the notice that the road district would have. Hey, there is in fact a subdivision contemplated. So again, with this one, arguably there is no subdivision because you're moving a lot line. You start with 2, you end with 2. I'm just trying to reframe the issue if that makes sense to everybody, right? And so the road district would have notice through a preliminary plat and a final plat through planning and zoning and through county commission of any proposed development, right? And that would require, again, the highway authority signature.
I agree. And you pointed out the issue in this one is is where the private easement ends for this access point isn't to the right of way, the section line. So it hits the county and goes across that, and then the road district road is on the abuts that or comes into it a little bit on the other side. So the first portion that abuts where our private or the client's private easement comes off of access is into the county's section. And then they cross that and then they hit the road district road. So if both sign, I don't think it waives anything. I don't think, if the road district signs this so we can just plat it to finish what we're trying to do here, it waives any future argument or that they can object to or have discussions about future development. If it's ever proposed, it's just, we're just trying, the clients are just trying to make this deal happen so they can build their road, have access and effectuate their deal. And we've been roadblocked because of this requirement and the road district's refusal at this point with their concerns to sign it. So we're just trying to find a solution.
So I'm trying to sort out the jurisdictional issue here, which is what this is about. You're saying that with the new approach would come down to a section line.
Yep.
And then that would abut into the road district.
Right.
Or the client's going to still have to pay road district dues.
Yeah, because their property is inside the road.
So to me, then that establishes that they're still within the road district and that's still the signing of the body. I can understand your position of going down to a section line, so that involves the county. But if they're still paying taxes, that puts them in the jurisdiction of the road district.
Let me ask you a question. Does the road district want some authority over if the clients come in and want to put 20 houses in there? Do you not want the county to come to you and say, we want the road district to sign off on this? I mean, you don't want the responsibility on this issue, but you're sure as heck going to want the responsibility when we require it of the developer to sign off on it. Your logic doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. You already designed the road district so you have control of your roads, and now you don't want it. And you've been accepting dues all this time.
You've got control of the road. The only road that's affected is your road. It's the county section line, county-owned, controlled section lines. that's where the abutting of the access easement shows up, doesn't it? Doesn't even touch our property.
So they shouldn't be paying dues then?
Of course they should. Why would you even ask that question?
Because
You
it's a
don't
sensible
maintain my
question.
roads, but I pay county taxes.
No, I don't know what you're talking about.
So Mr. Tisdale's point though, is that
Other
if
taxes.
you're agreeing that the county can sign it because they're proper authority, when if we go to
That's
develop
what
it,
I'm
put
hearing.
20 houses on there, road district has no say.
If you don't abut the road district roads,
So,
then we have no authority to
so
sign.
if they use this access and we sign off on the plat, and then clients decide to develop this property, we have nothing to do with the road district, we just approve it. Is that what you're
No, I'm
telling
not
me?
saying that at all. Of course, we would have a stake in
So
that.
why wouldn't you now?
If this is only a land swap, we don't have anything to say about it. We don't want anything to say about it. Approve the land swap. But don't ask the district to sign on the basis of statute that appears that we are approving the owner for residential and commercial development. Read the statute.
In light of this discussion, is there any possibility that the parties can have further discussions, or is it just at an impasse? What I'm suggesting is that this could come back to the commissioners at another day.
Well, the problem is he's plainly stating on behalf of the road district, we don't have jurisdiction to sign it, so we're never going to sign it. I mean, I don't know if there's any conditions we can put, or we get into a written agreement with the road district that would allow them to sign it with their objections in place, but to allow this to be platted, or that it's not an approval of further development at some point in time, because that doesn't do that. We got to come, like this one pointed out, we're going to have to be here before if the clients decide to do that. They've owned it since the mid-90s. They've never developed it. You know, there's no plan in place at this point to develop anything. It's just what it is. So I don't know if there's Richard can talk to his clients. We can enter into a stipulation as to
The
what they're signing.
commission can sign the plat and put whatever restrictions you want to on it,
Mr. Chairman,
because you are the abutting highway.
one consideration may be what you've done similarly in circumstances in and around Spearfish's highway authority, and to say that you don't know that you have any authority, but to the extent that you do have authority, you're authorizing the chairman to sign the plat specifically in both 312 and not intending in any way to take on any road jurisdiction issues. I offer that.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay,
I know which one it is.
all those in favor of the motion, say aye.
All right.
I,
Opposed? Motion carried.
Mr. Chairman, who would you direct to sign the plat as highway authority? The highway superintendent, would you like to have me do it?
I'd rather you go NA and have you do it. I've never seen this property. I've never seen the proposed route for the
Also
new driveway.
Move that we have NA and have Bruce sign.
Someone gets me the plat.
It's right behind you.
Okay, motion second, I'm sorry, I interrupted. There was a separate motion.
Yep.
Over Bruce. Bruce to your right.
Okay, we need to also add in
Bruce will sign.
Bruce. and
Do
sign
it, do it. NA and
Second
Bruce. Yep.
Okay, all those in favor of the amendment to the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful rest of your day.
Yeah, thanks.
We'll take a quick 5
Just so everybody knows, you'll have
5
another
minute break.
plat up there.
I think he already signed it.
No, we have another plat that is same exact discussion.
Same place. Oh, the
Amber,
other
this
one?
is Amy. That is the plat from upstairs.
Amy's talking to you. We're on a break.
good. I'm gonna go to, is
I'm
it?
just freaking tired of that crap. He stuck his nose in everything for way too long.
Yeah.
He likes to mess around with how homeowner associations and everything else.
What's that?
I know.
No, it's really been really frustrating. Hey, Brent,
How are you?
I'm
Been a
good.
few years.
It has been.
He's constantly doing that.
Jason will record the plat.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
How you doing, Rick?
Good, how are you?
I'm all right. So, I appreciate it.
Thanks for coming up. It's been a journey.
It's been a journey.
I got to, especially in Germany the other night at the Republican meeting. We got back, so I went out to the.
Well, I muted it. Go ahead now, I'm back.
Amy, can you check and see which planning and zoning board members signed that plat? So I'll be able to do it while he's here.
Yep, I'll look real fast. The ones from last time?
I read.
The Klein plat, yeah, from last time.
I see Bill's back.
Yep, I'll look.
Yeah. Okay.
He's up there.
That's how this is going.
Amber, can you hear me? I'll text her.
There we go. Is that better?
Yeah, now I can hear you. So Flanagan, looks like.
Okay.
And Tisdale.
No, I'll talk to you about it later.
Okay,
I'll
thank
talk
you.
to you about it later. Okay, so this is the ordinance changes, and what this is basically the entire subdivision ordinance. We went through it, we updated it like we've done multiple times, throughout the years. It was just time. We had to add some, change some definitions as things have changed. How much do you want me to go through? I mean, I'm assuming Bruce went through most of this last time, right?
We have been through it.
Okay, so I mean, unless you have specific questions, I guess.
I'm making a motion to approve it.
Sorry. Okay, we have a motion and second for approval. This is 24-01.
Yes, 24-01.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried.
All right.
24-02.
9:15.
No, these are all.
These are all second readings, so you don't have to wait.
We're all right on this.
Yep. This one is just the changes made to the wastewater treatment system. Basically what we're doing is just updating so that the design information is really where it should be versus it was in a random place under subdivision before. So it just makes sense to be in that section, that water and wastewater. And then I think Bruce had probably explained to you, but we are making a little bit of calculation changes, specifically instead of where the state just says, you know, the number of bedrooms and that's what it's based off of. We're trying to mess with that a little bit, and that might change. You know, we might find that this isn't enough. We're kind of starting somewhere. It's new for us.
Trying to get ahead of the VRBOs.
We've had a couple now that we've done this way, and it seems to be working. So.
Well, we know the old way is not keeping up in some areas.
Yeah.
I move to approve ordinance 2402.
Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second for approval. Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. All right, 24-04. We have had a lot of information coming from all directions on this one. I myself am not real comfortable about making any decision on this today because we've had a lot of legal input as well as input from the citizens, and I don't want to make a rash decision on my behalf. I'd be more comfortable if we can do some more research on this, make sure we do it right. That's my opinion on this.
I agree. We're continuing to get legal definitions. I was still looking at statutes this morning and working on interpreting them. So I would move to continue this to the next meeting.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to continue. Any further discussion? Ladies and gentlemen, I know you're all here for this. I want to do what's best for the whole county, so please bear with us and let us try to sort this out. Any further discussion?
Well, yeah, I wish there was a way we could do some more. All of our input at this point is written. And it'd be nice to have, there's kind of a couple of legalese that have sent us information that would be nice to hear from them rather than just read it and determine it. But, I guess we'd have to start all over again if we did that. I'd rather not do that either because we've been thinking with this for 2 years.
Well, and there's also been some misnomer out there that we don't have a board of adjustment. We've always had a board of adjustment. It's been the commissioners for forever, as long as I've known. So a lot of people think we're trying to create one. We're not. We have one. And we use it on variances. All right, with that said, any further discussion from the board?
It'll be 9:45 on May 28th.
All right. All those in favor of the motion before us to continue, will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I was gonna note that you received letters from Bob Dice, Lee Livingood, Derek Stevens, Barb Running, Philip and Lori Christian, also a submission by Rich Williams. Who's in today.
All right, all in the record then. Next item. Amber, release of Maitland Partners.
Yes. So this one, this was just my error. Last meeting, if you remember, you guys you reapproved, and they combined the two bonds, lots 127 and lots 131. If you remember, you kind of combined those two. Just for clearing it up, we thought we should probably release that original lot 127 bond.
Could you folks please, if you want to discuss, please go out in the other room. Thank you. Okay.
Okay. So like I said, last time, I don't know, a couple meetings ago, I don't even remember when it was, but you guys, we updated the bond for this, and it included the remaining of lot 127 plus lot 131. But we never released the original lot 127 because now we only have one bond, but we still have bond in place for 127. Does that make sense? I know it's kind of confusing, but So we had an original bond from January of 2024 for 127, but we combined. So now we have 2 bonds for 127. About that. So I just need to release the original bond.
So it's housekeeping.
Yes.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried.
I think this one's a public
It is a public hearing.
so
Oh my God.
we're.
Not till 10.
I was at,
Plats?
Oh my gosh.
we can do plats. Yeah, we can get those out of the way. The variance is the only thing that we can't really, that I was expecting more of those other ones. But we can do all the plats.
So we can do this boundary, 24 dash
Yep,
45.
Porsche. Yep, we can do all of those, 25
Right.
on.
Okay, 15 on the agenda.
Yeah, probably. I don't have an agenda.
That's
in
correct.
front of me.
If it's Porsche.
Yes, yep, 10:15.
Thank you, Bruce.
Should be that one right there. There we go.
You ready?
Yep. So this plat is, this was kind of interesting when they found this, and then it was weird, in our GIS system, it had actually gotten removed per se from taxation, and well, it was getting taxed, but it was a weird little thing. So what they're trying to do is actually plat the remainder, whatever's left of that Bryan Placer, because it was one of those weird ones that there was a bunch of the old town lots there. It somehow got missed that those were never platted. There was just this random remainder sitting out there. So what they're trying to do is plat everything that is left, and they're calling it Lot 3. It's 4.331 acres. It actually is mainly just a cleanup because it was just kind of floating around out there and nobody realized it wasn't in the Farney, Borsch, all of that stuff out there.
So the ownership is verified, but.
Yeah, ownership is verified, but
unplatted
it was an
remainder.
unplatted remainder. So they're just calling it a lot to get it cleaned up. It's just a final.
Need a motion for the preliminary and the final?
Mhm.
So moved. Oh, do we need,
No, there is no preliminary. We just did a final.
there's nothing on it.
There's nothing
So we
out
need
there.
the exempt first?
Yep.
So
Yep.
moved.
Second.
Okay, move for the exemption, we have a first and second to the motion. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed,
Oh, is it?
motion carried.
Thank you. I did
Now,
not know that.
Motion to approve the final.
Second.
I
Okay,
did
we have
not
a
know
motion
that.
and a
Thank you.
second for approval of the final. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried.
Matson should be the next one.
Okay.
Yep. This one it had never been platted before. There's no buildings or infrastructure on the lot. It's surrounded by the Spruce Mountain Estates #1 and #2, but was left separate from the subdivision. There are 2 access points already on the property, Frontier Loop, and one to the west of where the old trailer is pictured on this. Literally, it's one of those, again, it was kind of floating around out there. It's an old quarter description. It's basically what was left of the Spruce Mountain Estates. There was just a piece that was never platted. So trying to clean it up and combining it, it's about 18 acres.
Motion to note as exempt.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second for exempt. All those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried.
Motion approved final.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for approval of the final. All those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Next, Amber.
Nielsen.
Or Neil.
Nielsen should be the next one.
Okay.
Is that right?
Yep,
Okay.
yep.
So this one is, let's see if we can pull this preliminary up. Okay. So this one, it's kind of a little bit messy, but they're basically doing a line adjustment. So the original tract was up top here. You can see there's structures right up here in the, it's off of Nahant Road, right up here. The original tract was just this top piece. They're extending it, we would say. So here's the original lot line. They're making the original lot A, and then there was a little piece of a government lot in there, and then the Mickelson Trail. It's just making it a little bigger on this upper part. And then in order to do that, the bottom part is 126 acres. And then there was this little piece over here, which is tract 4. It's 8.129 acres.
The existing fire plan.
The existing,
Okay.
Yep, everything's fine. This one is, you can kind of see the road comes in here too. And then here's an access point coming right here. This is that Nahant Road. So they're creating a plat for everything on the other side of the road. And then you've got tract 3, which is the big piece, and then they're increasing the size of the original lot A where all the structures are up here.
What are up with those little slivers?
Right in here, this is an old H lot. They're just showing it. This is not something they own, but there's a little tiny, see there's this little tiny piece on the other side, which is part of tract 3. They're keeping it with tract 3, but it's one of those weird ones. It's a mess.
It's the remainder on the far side.
There's just a little tiny piece over there, so they opted to just keep that with this.
Okay.
But at least now they have an acreage. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe they end up doing some lot exchange stuff.
Sure, we should.
But they kind of have to figure out what's all there first.
Motion to approve the preliminary.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for approval of the preliminary.
Just one quick question.
Mm-hmm.
On the north end of our map, there's a little red circle up here. What is that?
Oh, that's just where the cursor fell when we were printing.
Just a red dot, Eric.
That's it. It's just where the cursor is.
All right.
It's aliens.
All those in favor of the motion for approval will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried.
Yeah, there's a preliminary and a final. We did have a fire plan, and basically the fire plan numbers, it was fine. There wasn't much. Yeah.
With the exception of those trees, right, where they got circled right there.
Yeah.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for approval of the final plat. All those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Okay.
I missed the motion. I'm sorry.
Pardon?
I missed who made the motion. Sorry.
Mr. Bill and
Flanagan. For the final.
yeah.
Eric, you're not doing this one, are you? Repeat? And Randy's not here. And I think Randy was planning on being here, so I'm not.
He's
I was online.
Is he online still?
That's not us.
Okay, I didn't think so, but. So maybe let's, because there's a lot with this one that I think Randy probably needs to explain. I can text him and tell him we're waiting for him. Let me.
I suppose he's in on all these, huh?
No.
This Bruce trying to get everybody from the DMG, the Natural Resources, and the 4-H person.
One is, I can go through it, but there might be questions that I won't be able to answer. You guys can do the Deer Mountain one without a note, right? Okay, we can do the next one, that KR. So it would be 30.
Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, open it up. So this was, we've been expecting this. This is nothing new. This is going to be Block B of Deer Mountain Village. This kind of takes in all those change of zoning requests and the things that we've been working on to clean up all those weird little mystic minor lots. Oh, there he is right there. I just texted you.
I'm here.
Okay, well, now you gotta wait. So the Deer Mountain Village was approved by the county already. It was amended. back in 2021. They've been slowly cleaning up different things out there. And as part of this, if I pull it up on here, you can see it, but it's kind of a lot. So what it's doing is just making a boundary plat of what's remaining, what hasn't been platted. We're cleaning up all of it. There's some old pieces in there. There was also, and you guys had already approved this, you remember right up in this little area, we approved a plat maybe a month ago or so, that you did a lot line change because they worked with the neighbor to kind of do a lot line change. That just takes into that account. You know, we already made that change. It's on this plat now, so it shows that. And then this stuff up in here was part of that change of zoning that we did, I don't know, a couple months ago too. So it just kind of cleans it all up. It's a 426-ish acre lot. It'll make it easier as we go forward. So we have one big boundary of all those mineral survey loads and any of those weird little pieces that were platted out prior to. Is that fair?
Okay, Randy, you want to speak to this?
Well, a couple additional points. I think she covered it well. If you look here, you have M&M tracks. There's a bunch of them, and maybe 12 or 16, and they were approved. They couldn't get building permits under the old Mystic Minor. So it erases all of those. And then we added 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 mineral surveys up in this area, plus the existing remainder of the mineral surveys here. And so it consolidates 16 to 22 lots now into one. And we show the underlining mineral surveys on here because they have to track those separately. It's on the mining rights, but it clears up all this mineral, all this Mystic Minor stuff that didn't have building rights, that they didn't put the improvements in, and it just erases that. So that's why we did this, so we didn't have to do it in the next step.
Okay. Just cleans it up. That's that one.
So the boundary plat, we don't need it. There doesn't need to be technically consolidation plat. You're just doing the final.
Just combining it all. Yep, just the final.
Second. Okay, we have a motion second for approval. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Go ahead and
Back
do,
to Sturgis
no,
County.
let's do 31 just because you have this track D in your head.
Okay.
And then we'll go back. So what this is if you basically kind of keep that picture of what you just approved, that boundary plat, this is now the preliminary, the revised preliminary, because if you remember, we did a preliminary originally. And then there was all these changes, you know, they bought some land, some different things. It was easier to do a second revision to those original to kind of clean up anything that we had. That's what you're seeing here. So this is a revised preliminary plat from that block B that you just did.
Yep.
Is that clear?
We actually turned lots, or block B and C into B.
Yes.
Because of the change of zoning on the north portion, it allows that it's all planned development now, so we are compiling everything into one block, block B.
Yep. So again, I feel that you've already kind of approved this. It's just now with the changes and everything, it's cleaner to do it all in one big block. You have, and they provided you a summary, revised preliminary plat summary. There is a couple of exceptions in there. They provided you the West Mountain water main, all of the plans there. And then there was some percolation test hole things that we had asked for previously. There's kind of an overall letter. John Bay went up and talked to them. And maybe you guys, since John's gone, I know he had some concern with a couple of those locations of the fire hydrants. Did you address those with him?
No.
Okay. So I think
those are hydrants you want to move so that there's not a
there was a
plow that hits them.
there was a couple, and he put a picture in his little update. There was a,
those are actually,
he didn't like how close the hydrant was. He was afraid that they might hit it with snow plowing.
those are actually on the east side.
Okay, on the other side.
So, but they will be fixed.
So I know that there was a few things that he said he would just work, directly with them to figure out. He wasn't concerned about the plat or anything, but just he would work with them on location. There's also the overall construction plans and a wildfire mitigation plan. And they provided a couple of copies of the access easement, proposed access easement, and the specific exceptions. I guess you want to go through those exceptions. I think there was just one.
Oh, sure. Exceptions are, there are a few roads that are in excess of the 12%. We've itemized those station by station.
Mr. Flanagan?
That's what I was looking for, is where the,
It's this from here.
none of this stuff is in place, is that correct? So we should have road profiles and detail on, if you have water detail and.
We have water, roads, the perk tests. John already went out and looked, because some of the roads are, I mean, he was able to kind of talk to them. He's reviewed the plans. So we have everything that we would normally request as part of the preliminary plat.
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Yes.
One of the exceptions discusses truncation of a water line, which under the fire ordinance, fire part of the ordinance, fire protection, talks about looping. There's an exception there because if we did loop it, it would go through a canyon and it would reduce the pressure and make stagnant water. So there's a letter from A2S that discusses that. It's interesting in the ordinance that if you look at the water part, it talks about 30,000 gallons, I think, and 1,000 gallons a minute. And in the fire part, it talks about 1,500 gallons a minute, and that's what we're using throughout this proposed subdivision. So between the 1,500 gallons a minute of potable water for fire protection and the fire mitigation plan, we've got a lot of good fire planning and prevention on this stuff.
Okay.
This was the letter if you wanted specifics. Explain the water looping,
Oh.
the exception was in here.
Let's see the exceptions page.
And then there's also an exception on this part. This
Yeah,
one
where
on the
in
back
the drive
page.
is it?
Honestly, I wasn't on the drive. I just went to the staff report because all of them are linked there.
You had it, Anne Marie's.
Yeah, that was on the staff report, the link though.
I have.
It says preliminary summary, probably is the one that has the exceptions in it.
Okay.
And it's, the first part is the looping of the water and the second part shows you the station and grades of the, like where it's located. Back page of that. Yep. So that's all the exceptions that are that grade.
Anything further?
Motion to approve the revised preliminary.
I'll second it for the sake of further discussion. Jennings, you look puzzled.
Well, I'm a little concerned about the exceptions on the roads. That's what I'm contemplating.
Okay, further discussion?
Are any of the exceptions over 200 feet? There are a couple.
Okay, we got a motion and a second for approval. All those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Okay, motion passed. Next one, Amber.
Okay, so now we're gonna go back to repeat. Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so this one, I'm just gonna pull up, which one do you want? The map or the narrative?
Why don't we do the map?
And then you can, I'm gonna let Randy kind of explain this. This is, we've been expecting this. This is, I mean, it's kind of what my expectation has been. If you take where the new road comes down off of the Hour Road, you know, that's up in the, that's what this is tying it into, just so you kind of know general location. It's up there.
So we came in with a layout plat of this quite some time ago, and it showed an overview of the map. You see this road dedication here, and then it goes down out to Crook City Road. They've improved the section line per the agreement they had with the county commissioners. And then they built the road on the easement that they had from the section line north into where the stone house is over by ours, which is the southwest corner of their property. And they continued the road up to an old road bed that used to be in here, and that connects here. And that's all built. And we provided as-built of the piece that's on the private property. And we found that there was an area of 3 grades that we wanted to flatten out. Now they're working on flattening that out to make it as close to the 10% as they could get. The piece from the property to Crook City Road, they've been working with John Bay hand in hand, and that's built. He wanted the hydraulic analysis for the culvert install that goes under the section line. We've got that now. We're adding 2 36-inch culverts. On the other culvert crossing, which is on the private property, the hydraulic analysis is now delivered, and the size pipes that they put in, which is 2 36, is adequate. And John also inspected the road all the way to the subdivision up into this point, and he was fine with it, and John can comment, obviously. But the roads internally have not been built. That would be anything that's on this map. So you have a water design with a road profile, and there's two or three areas that are over the 10%, and they're real short stretches, like right in here. And you'll see in the narrative, I said that we'll mitigate those during the construction process. If you look at the profile, the designer put it just right on the grade. So in those short stretches, if we add a foot or take a foot, we're going to take those and flatten them out significantly. So I would not have a problem with the approval today being that you can revisit the grades on the road at the final plat once we have the as-built, and we'll mitigate those 12 and those short stretches. I'm confident we can mitigate probably 80% of those just during the process. The engineer was a little concerned about disturbance, and we want to have good roads to get into these houses. This again is part of the Whitewood water. We buy water from Whitewood. The water design is under the auspices of the Department of Ag and Natural Resources. They're adding a new tank. They have full fire protection and full potable water. There's hydrants to the state standards. There are fire hydrants. And this piece here that we're looking at overall is the piece that was zoned park forest. The rest of it to the west and north is agricultural till we get up to the piece that was up by the interstate. So that this would be the density in the park forest. So beyond that, I guess if there's any questions.
Okay. Board have any questions for Randy?
So the road from the Crook City is the main access for this division?
That's the intent. And at the section line, once it leaves the section line and goes north, it's gated with an electronic gate, because that's a private easement there. And the neighbors don't want a bunch of looky-loos in there or hunters in there, the wrasse and the owls.
Mm-hmm.
So once it leaves that public right of way, it's gated. That's why these are all internal roads or private roads.
So it's public up to the gate?
Yep.
And the gate is at the edge of?
No, it's way down on the section line from Crook City. You go west from Crook City about 1,300 feet, and you turn north. That's where the gates are.
Okay, gotcha.
On the
It's
north side of the
already
section.
locked in there.
Yeah. And the neighbors like that idea, obviously.
Okay, what's your pleasure on this one? Preliminary.
And again, I couldn't find anything that they didn't meet the requirements. We have the narrative, we have the wildfire mitigation plan. We have the letter from John Bay. He kind of put in there that, they were, at the time he was out there, it was almost done, but there was some things that he wanted fixed, which they're working on them with. We have the road profiles in here. We have a copy of the water service agreement from the city of Whitewood. And then we have their water main and all of their improvement stuff in here. We also have a copy of their recorded covenants. So again, I feel like they've met all the requirements that we asked for with the preliminary plat.
One of the things brought up at the plan and zoning was the weed mitigation, and we have a guy handling that. They're
been out there every year. There's a lot of it that's not on this property, that's to the north and west, but they're working on it. They've been communicating. So.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the preliminary with the caveat that we review the road profiles again at the final.
Second.
Okay, motion second for approval, preliminary, with further review on the final. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
We just have the variance. Right?
Be able to scramble any of the troops to come early.
I just tried to call Mr. Buell regarding the
So-
easement and, I was able to leave him a message. I can cover that. And I told him, I said I can cover it, and if the commission has any questions, to revisit it again later on when you schedule it to be on. I need to start with that, I guess.
Because I can't do anything till 10 with the variance.
So we're going with those two, Bruce?
10:30 item.
Deputy Cotton Grand?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
So, for your consideration is an amendment of easement agreements, and you'll see that's plural. That's referring to two prior easements that have been entered into between the owners of Deadwood Mountain Grand and the county, namely one back in 2009, then later on, I think in, 2010. And so, just for reference, attached to the most recent plat is an exhibit, and it shows, if you're interested, the two easements that have been granted. There's the one in the black and then the earlier one there, I think in the hatched area. So more importantly, that's kind of a side issue. In these prior easements, the burden party, meaning the county whose property was burdened with the easement, was referenced in the legal description, but the appurtenant property, or the property that was benefiting from the easements, was not mentioned. And so I think during the due diligence for the sale of the facility, that was noted. And so this amended easement agreement, what it does primarily is it identifies the appurtenant property, or the property that's benefited by the easements. Hopefully that makes sense. It's as simple as that. The other thing that they added in there at our request was paragraph 3 to reference the warranty deed, where the language regarding the county's parking is included in there, just to make sure that there's nothing that's going to impact the county's ability to continue to park where it's at. And again, I think the retaining wall behind the sheriff's office, the parking ramp wall, is where it occupies the space where these easements are at. So with that, I'd be looking for authorization of the chairman sign.
So moved.
Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second for approval for the chairman's signature. Any further discussion? Seeing or hearing none, all those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you. And with that, I think we're at an impasse. I know Mitch Iverson is here on behalf of the Natural Resources Committee, but I suspect that there will be others, and well, I guess Ron Mueller is here as well, has been here, others that will want to join, so I would ask that you would wait a little while for that, please. Hold on one second. I'm just going to mute this. I'm going to mute the meeting for just a second here while we take a
Well,
break.
we'll take a 5-minute break.
Didn't
Sorry.
turn mine on either.
We're struggling.
Okay.
Okay,
So
the
Flanagan,
Klein and Shipman plat needs to be reapproved as it was approved on December 23rd, 2023, but we're past the 120 days for me to record it. So therefore, we just need a motion to reapprove the plat.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, a motion and a second for approval for the extension. Any further discussion?
That was with, what, what's his name, Collins was talking about.
Yes. Yep.
Okay. Well, seeing no further discussion, all those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Thank you. And now we can sign it. We have the road district authority thing from earlier. We have that, so now we can get it recorded. Thank you. Okay, that's all I have.
We're going back into recess for a matter of.
I really need you guys to go that quick, sorry,
Well,
because of the other situation.
Well, we're still gathering information.
Which is good.
do I need to get,
Why would they think we're part of the road district?
They are part of the road district.
Road district is all mainly of the people that are in the development.
They are in the development. They are part of the road district. They pay road district fees every single month. And they have since
since it
1990,
was formed.
whenever the road district was formed.
Melanie's
Of
on.
course, they don't want to stop collecting fees, they just don't want the responsibility.
Bruce, just what I
Well,
have.
they want to
is-
restrict what they can do
just so you know.
on that property. And right now, they can build a house. And if they change lot lines, they can build a house. If they do a subdivision, then that's normally what we do is we require them to get an agreement with the road district that will agree to service those additional roads. Because then the road district would basically will have to take on those roads and expense internal to themselves, as opposed to like approving an adjacent one, when then we also make them
All right,
You got us back online, Brenda?
I have it unmuted on here. Is that all I need to do? Okay.
All right, Amber.
All right, so it is finally 10 o'clock. And we have a variance request. Oh, sorry, board. Yeah.
Move to recess as the board, county commission, and convene as board of adjustment.
Second.
Okay, is there a motion and a second? All those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. All right, we are now at the board of adjustment.
Okay, and the Heinzes are here, so they are present. They've been sitting here patiently. So what this one is, I'll just kind of give you a quick overview. I mean, everything was in here, but they have an existing cabin out in the Misty Meadow subdivision. And that's the subdivision that we've had some issues with over the last, we've issued a couple of variances. There was some road things. The Forest Service boundary line has moved a couple times. I mean, there's all sorts of background to that property, but that's where it is. And so with this one, what it was is Jeff was actually out in that area dealing with our other variance thing that we dealt with. And the Heinzes had called and asked, the cabin had basically been falling down. I mean, it was very much in repair needed. And so they did ask if they could replace it in the existing foundation and everything, which we've always allowed that as long as it's not increasing. Well, in the meantime, they opted, without getting a building permit or dealing with it, they decided once they had the walls torn down, it is still in the same location, so it hasn't moved the foundation, but they decided to go up one story. Well, as soon as they went up one story, I didn't feel like just allow that without them having a variance on the setbacks, just to be safe, because it now changed the existing the existing footprint, not out, so they didn't go outside the footprint, but they just went up. So to be safe, we decided to have them go through the variance procedure. Took us a while to get there, but we did finally get everything. So we have a new survey that shows exactly where it sits. You can tell that it's well within that 25-foot setback. This area, obviously we've had some concerns out there. We have allowed a variance literally right next door to this. And we kind of gave you the outline of, this started last summer. We figured out what was going on. We finally got it all dealt with. We took some photos. This is what it looks like today. You can see some of the original log here. And then this was falling in. So they literally, this bottom floor is, I would say, the same per se, the same walls.
So that actually was, to me, it looks like the back of the cabin was bad and they added an addition onto the backside and then decided to build.
No,
it above, but
there
that
was
actually
one there.
Okay.
that.
And
That
then
was my
this,
initial concern.
this part just went up. So this wall, I would say, was there previously, just in worse condition. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? I don't know. It was there. But now it's all brand new with an addition going up.
Amber, if I remember correctly, this started out as just a roofing project, and then they discovered the wall.
Everything was rotted.
Yeah, at
when
what
they
point
tore it
should they
off.
have had a building permit? I guess that, because you don't need one just to replace the roof.
Correct. Yeah. And that's, so as soon as he went out there and he noticed, well, wait a minute, they did way more than what we had told them they could do. We started this process, but then you had to get surveying done and you had to do all the stuff. So it's just taking some time.
But when should Mr. Hines have asked for it? Right away for the initial
As
part?
soon as he knew that everything was rotted, he probably should have come in
As
and
soon as
got
he
a
got
building
into the
permit.
roof and saw the wall.
Okay, just reminded me,
Building
Vice
permit.
Chair, that this is a public hearing. So if there's anyone in the body of the audience that would like to speak for or against this variance, at this time you have that opportunity to do so. We would ask that you would stand, state your name and address for the record. Is there anyone in the body of the audience? Yes, sir.
Yes, my name is Dennis Hines. I'm in Western South Dakota. 57481 is my zip code.
Can you speak a little bit louder?
The address is 11679. The reason I'm asking for the variance is, like she said, we went in to replace the roof and there was rotted walls. So we decided to just, because there is an existing 4-foot foundation around it, and we built that up, and we were fighting rain and whatever else, which I know it's not an excuse, but when you have your whole cabin tore off, roof, and we only had, supposed to have 6 guys, and we only ended up with 4, 3 days, and then 3 for 3 more days. It was a lot of work, and I guess I should have asked my wife in to get a building permit or do something. But the reason, I guess, is that we didn't add on the front because we're too close to the road, so we couldn't, impair the road. So then we decided just to go up the last minute, and I guess that's kind of all I got. I mean.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone else like to speak for or against?
Yes.
Valerie
Jagam, Forest Service. I just wanted to clarify, the lot lines on Misty Meadows has not changed. The original stone monuments out there, same place they've always been. So just clarify, the lot lines on Misty Meadow have not moved. And just to let you guys know, there was an encroachment with the Hines. They're working with us. They have already resolved it. We're working on the resolution letter for you currently. So there is no current encroachment onto Forest Service at this time.
Okay, thank you.
They were working on that before.
Anyone else? Anyone else in the body of the audience? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing and offer to the board for their commissioner planning.
Okay, just for clarification, this, where the new, you can see the old structure on the right-hand side of the photograph. Old log, like looks like hail logs or something.
Yep, right in here.
And then the part where the new 2-story piece is, that old concrete foundation has been there for some period of time.
As far as we could find, yes, there was some sort of structure on the back.
Okay.
And you don't know when that was built, but it's okay. So, and I'm just gonna put this out there, and I don't like to make motion ever, but to me, footprint is footprint, and vertical doesn't take up any more of the footprint. If you don't expand outside of the footprint, you can go up.
Squirrels don't care.
No, it really just depends on what limitations of the ordinance and the building permit say, and so I don't see that this is actually a violation of variance. I see it as an existing grandfathered use that probably to clean it up, we should grant a variance to the existing grandfathered encroachment.
Correct.
Pre-existing condition, and so where I don't support these very often, this one I do, because it is in the footprint. I feel that this is just really a housekeeping cleanup variance, and not really any additional variance or requirements that we need to address.
And the nice thing is with having the survey now, we have a place to, like, if they would come in later on and ask for something, we know exactly where it is now.
You don't know if the planning and zoning is, so.
I did see that. I saw everybody, Mr. Jennings had some, I think, a concern, and I didn't see exactly what the concern was, but I just wanted to put that out there. A lot of these I vote against, but this one, because it really is it is in the footprint, going vertical doesn't bother me.
So that's your motion.
And it's existing. So I would make a motion to approve this based on existing footprint, grandfathered use, and that it be a housekeeping variance, if you will.
Mr. Chairman, if I may? We don't have a second yet.
Second.
Okay, now.
It does not provide injurious to.
Discussion.
The language could also include that the variance would not be injurious to the neighborhood or detrimental to the public interest or welfare, and that special conditions exist such that because of the particular feature of the property or because of some extraordinary and exceptional situation of the property, a variance is necessary, and that granting of the variance, if the variance were denied, it would create a peculiar and exceptional practical difficulty.
Was that part of your motion?
It was, but I would specifically state that it is an existing grandfathered structure that does not exceed the previous footprint. It would be the exception or the exceptional.
I'll second it as amended.
All right, any further discussion?
I did vote against this on the planning and zoning, and I was bothered by it, but I couldn't quite put my finger on it then. And as I've thought about it since, I think my concern has been not the building itself. You know, I agree with Commissioner Flanagan that just going up doesn't make a whole lot of difference, and it probably should be grandfathered in. I think my concern was the fact that not going in for a building permit in a timely fashion, then, I mean, we do that so that the staff can explain the rules. And the county is not here to constrict improvement, but we're here to help. And so if the building permit is done in a timely fashion, these conflicts don't occur. And so I don't want to send the message that it's better to ask for forgiveness instead of asking for permission. And so that's why I'm probably gonna have to oppose this one also.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor of the motion before for approval will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Okay. Passed.
4-1.
Portland.
4-1.
Okay.
Thank you for your patience.
So now we need to we're still gonna do the building permit.
Yep.
We're gonna show everything. And
Make a
so I will
motion to
have
recess as the
Jeff
Board of Adjustment
be in
and
contact with you
reconvene
here
as county
this
commission.
afternoon. We can
I'll
finish that.
second that.
Okay, we have
Okay.
a motion, second to dispense with Board of Adjustment and reconvene as county commissioners. All those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Bruce?
If you want, so next Tuesday, May 21st, I think it was Wednesday, it's next Tuesday. We are all named defendants in a lawsuit, and there will be a hearing on that matter at 9 o'clock. And so, if you can be there, I would recommend that you do so.
I would respectfully request that someone express to the judge that I'm sorry I cannot attend as I'm out of state that day.
Okay, it's in front of Judge Comer, it'll be
I'll
about
be
the
there.
third floor.
I'll be there.
Third floor?
Yeah.
All
You
right,
can meet here and walk over. if you want to.
we'll plan on being there and we'll convey your feeble excuse.
What time are we meeting from here?
How about 8:30 in case we want to meet with Sarah at a time? I haven't heard anything to that effect, but just in case.
Okay.
So we're in a holding pattern again. I'm gonna take public input at this time. Does anyone wish to come forward for any public comments or concerns?
Or online?
Are we online?
Mhm.
Okay. Anyone? Mr. Mueller?
No, sir.
John?
I would, me and Commissioner Jennings were talking earlier about doing a field trip to look at some of these roads, and then I left before we talked about that.
I'd be totally in favor of that.
I guess, if you guys have a time or who would like to go,
Those were very fruitful. We've done them in the past.
shoot me an email, we can come up with a time.
Okay. Good. We'll work on that. Thank you.
All right.
I'll do a notice of quorum for that to get more.
Yeah.
free.
Anyone else would like to speak at this time for public comment? Otherwise, I'll probably shut that down if we're.
Anybody online?
We'll close her
Put it
down
online.
and we'll take a
Okay.
brief recess until all the players get here for these next two items.
Do this, right? Let me take
We're back online? You want-
I thought we were in recess.
We're in recess.
Okay.
Sorry. Well, back to recess. Stand by. That was only a test. Please stand by. And we're live.
All right, let's go ahead and do our Lawrence County Natural Resource Committee update, cooperating agency agreement. Who's going to handle that?
Actually, I think I am.
Okay.
So you remember that we've been dealing with the Forest Service for several months, working out a new MOU as a cooperative agency status. And I think as we've been apprised of the fact that that's not been going very well, the Forest Service offered up an MOU a couple of months ago, probably, that rolled back a lot of the county's involvement from what we've enjoyed in the past. And so the Natural Resource Committee got together and they have responded to that MOU and also offered up another MOU. And so I don't know how much you would like me to go through. I'll just go through a little bit of the packet. You can see there's just a cover letter to start with, but then we get into the comments that Mitch Iverson, who's done a lot of work, who has a lot of experience in federal agencies, federal natural resource agencies, and understands the laws and regulations very well. So he put together some comments along with several others in the committee. I think we all know the members of the committee have been very good about coming up here and participating. I would appreciate the fact that Mitch put this together, much like the Forest Service would do when entities comment on their proposals. So addressed what the factors in the MOU are and why we feel they're not correct. One of the main things there is the interdisciplinary teams or the ID teams. When those teams start to meet, that's when they really start to form the management strategies for these proposed projects. And it's very important to be involved at that level, because once they start making those decisions, that's what gets into print. And once it gets into print, it can be a little hard to move. So participating in those ID teams is very important. The county was able to do that in the past. The new MOU from the Forest Service has rolled that back, citing the Federal Advisory Committee Act requirements not allowing us to do that. We don't agree with that. We think that the FACA absolutely allows that, and it says, you can see how it's all spelled out in that. So that's one of the main factors. We've also dealt with the Forest Service not wanting to allow cooperative agency status from the county outside of our county borders. As we've established, there's things that happen on the forest that definitely affect our county. Some of these project areas extend beyond our county limits, so it's important that we are able to comment and be involved in projects outside of the borders. The Forest Service also called in the ability for the county to be involved because of our expertise in these matters. We're obviously going to disagree with that, and nor should it even be a factor, honestly. So I think those are the main things. Then the other thing that really always bothers me is that the new MOU didn't really give the county any higher standing as a cooperative agency status than what the general public would have as comments on these projects. It's my belief that the county should have a much higher standing than the general public. That if we do a comment letter through the county commission, they should not just get thrown on the same stack as all of the other comments. So that's much of what was changed, or what we had issues with, I should say, in the proposed MOU from the Forest Service. The NRC has put together their own MOU that they are going to would like the county to propose to them. I would be more than happy to go through all these changes. Most of them just reflect the changes that I've talked about, identifying some of those needs and how our involvement should be with that. So.
Okay, Mitch, would you like to expound on any more?
Eric did a really good job of summarizing it. I just want to elaborate on a couple things. Before I forget, number one, at the end of the letter, we request the Forest Service to Forest Supervisor to come to a county commission meeting and talk about this. I think it's really a gross, I don't want to say misconduct, but they've really gone off the rails on this, and they're not working with other counties in Wyoming or other places like they're proposing to do here. You know, we lay out a number of their regulations that they're not not following, and they're kind of picking and choosing to do that. If you look at what's driving this, in my mind, is I think it's as simple as they believe that sometimes the county disagrees with them on their proposals. And I really think that's what's driving a lot of this. And that shouldn't be the case. Forest Service has their own regulations directing them to work with the counties, to treat the counties as a government entity. And I think that's where, when I say they're really going off the rails, is they're not recognizing that. And it's actually in regulation. There's a government sharing of information that's supposed to occur. The Forest Service is obligated to share information relative to a project. And they're saying in their proposal that they wouldn't have to do that. So that's kind of where we're at with all of this. And the county, if you look at the request to limit the involvement to the county only, and the Forest Service states this for the entire forest. The trouble with that, as you all know, is you look at how many grazing allotments spill over across county lines. And if you look at the grazing allotments spill over into Wyoming, and managing watersheds and things of that nature that don't really know boundaries, it's really, really difficult. So I don't know where that's going with that. I will say in Colorado, there's MOUs with counties where it's one county, it's for the whole forest, and there's 4 or 5 counties on the forest. So this is nothing new, and the previous MOU was for the entire forest. So they've really just kind of taken this and put in a bunch of severe restrictions, and it basically, as written by the Forest Service right now, it would be really counterproductive, I think, for the county to sign off on it. So I do think we need to push back, and I just will reemphasize that they could drag this out a long time. The last MOU 5 years ago, I don't know how many years it took. I wasn't involved then, but it was a lot. And we don't want this to drag out. The current MOU, or the expired one, expired February 28th or something like that. So we were trying to get this renewed before then. But my point is that we don't want this just to drag out. And I think that's where having the forest supervisor come here on a specific date, or maybe offer 2 dates. I think there's a date listed in that current letter. But, and I do think having him come here, that was Bill Colburn's idea, but I think that's really important. So that's all I have.
Those other counties that kind of got thrown under the bus as well, are they reaching out like you folks are?
Well, we're the only, so they haven't done anything with the forest planning MOUs with the other counties in the Black Hills. They're leaving them intact, which is interesting. So this MOU would treat us, Lawrence County, completely different than those forest planning MOUs. So that creates a problem in itself. And as far as project level MOUs, the other counties don't have them. They, on the Bear Lodge, they have a pretty good relationship there. They share information. The Forest Service calls them all the time, and they're able to work through it without it. And Meade County has considered an MOU, but they don't, except for certain projects. So we're the only one going through this right now.
Anyone else, Randy?
A few points here. Based on the jurisdictional boundary, the UTV, ATV trail system problems are integrated between Pennington and Lawrence County. There's no boundary on that trail system. Snowmobile trail system, same way. The hauling routes for loggers and Ocraquane is both Meade County and Lawrence County. I mean, there's just so many instances in a forest of this size that the boundaries of the counties don't really lock you into the activities of the forest. Secondly, the last MOU we had took 6 years before Van Every signed it forest-wide. It was a struggle. Also, we started this discussion in May of last year, and the acting supervisor said we'd have a draft in October. Never happened. We'd have another one in December. Never happened. So we've done our part, and we also pleaded with them just to extend the existing MOU until such a time that it would be out. They refused to do that. It's my observation that they don't want us to cooperate. That's it. They also are circumventing the process because they have the ID teams meet before they get in the NEPA process. And then they say, well, it's not the NEPA process, so you can't attend. They're using every tool that they have to push us away. And so having the forest supervisor come here and talk to us is critical. When you talk to the Western Interstate region of NACO, the chair of it, which is in Wyoming now, he talks about all their counties and how they have these MOUs and it's not been a problem. You talk to Utah, which has a huge amount of public lands, it's not a problem. You talk to the liaison with the chief's office, the local government, he's astonished that we're having jurisdictional and qualification issues. All the literature that the Forest Service and NACO put out embraces involvement. So we've got a forest that doesn't want our involvement. We need to solve this problem. And I don't have a problem saying it because we're all thinking it. And so we need to cut through this and stand hard and get the supervisor here to explain it and not have to go congressional or whatever. We need to try to solve it locally. Meade County has involvement from some of their staff. They don't have as much forest, proportionally to what we have. Pennington County has a full-time natural resource person that works with the district ranger there day to day. In Custer County, the office is there, so the accessibility is much different. And their invasive species person runs that resource management, has easy access. They can just walk in to those district rangers' office without any problem, including the supervisor's office. We need to have appointments. So there's something missing here, folks, and we need to resolve it. And the long history that the county has been involved with this should give us bonus points, not deter us. And they just don't want to hear somebody that wants to talk about their policy and work with them. They just want to move forward without us. And that's, we've had some of that at the state level, but now that's better. The state is working on an MOU, and we can team with the state. And one of the other things that I find intriguing is the billions of dollars that have been set aside for forest management through, there's two types. There's the, what's the term?
Infrastructure.
Yeah, but there's two types of, yeah, but there's 2 points that you can do that through stewardship.
Fire mitigation.
And that money is out there, and Mitch found that the NRCS has the ability to tap into some of those funds and treat both public and private lands in the national forest. And our forest doesn't even know that.
The district ranger, so this going back to conversation with Bill Holgren, a district ranger, just a couple weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. And Bill brought up, what about using some of this NRCS money that's, there's millions and millions, they don't know what to do with it all.
Good neighbor authorities,
yeah. Yeah, good neighbors. Anyway, the district ranger said we can't use NRCS money on federal lands. And that I knew was not correct. So I called NRCS to talk to the program lead and basically found out that as long as there's a private land project, that project, the NRCS can spend federal money on forest land up to 50%. So there's non-Forest Service money available that can be spent on Forest Service land, they're just not tapping into it. And that's where, with some of this discussion about all this money coming down through the Infrastructure Reduction Act and whatever else the Biden administration has put out there, NRCS is swimming in money and, it's not getting put to good use in my mind. There are some difficulties with NRCS wants programs that tie in multiple owners, if they can, multiple landowners. If those landowners want to get state money for, say, thinning, that can complicate things, but that's just an example of some of the stuff, the things we're going through, and it's kind of unfortunate.
And to follow up is our voice at the table is through our MOU for all of these things. I know we circled off track a little bit. It's important to know that all this is that MOU gets us that conversation. Lastly, the BLM, you remember, sent us a request asking if we wanted to have cooperative agency status on the grouse. They sent us a request. All we had to do was respond. We decided not to because we don't have many grouse in our area. But that's another federal agency that has the same process, embracing it, and we have one that's pushing back. So.
I do want to point out one other thing that's, I think, important. This is not a county agency, but talking to Kevin Forrester, Black Hills Trails, or whatever group he's with, they went through trying to renew their MOU with the forest, and what he described to me was the same thing we went through or going through. So, and they're not a county entity, but they restricted everything that the Black Hills Trails could do, and they build and maintain a lot of trails in the forest. They restricted it to the point that the cooperating agency MOU is actually counterproductive. So this is something new.
Okay. Anyone else?
Mr. Chairman, I would note that Don, Carl, and Ron are here as well as part of the Natural Resources Committee.
Go ahead, sir.
Just wanted to say amen to what these two guys say. But dealing with the Forest Service for over 30 years on allotments, I never had the issues that we're seeing here with this supervisory agency out of Black Hills National Forest. And it's ridiculous because they're just trying to shut out comment, reduce the control of the county commissions to zero. And that's what I see going on here. It's just wrong.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I think the request would be to authorize the chairman to sign the letter and to send it, and so it raises a couple of questions of who to send it to. It's a bit premature, but I'll throw this out there, and then how do we get it to the forest supervisor without it being intercepted by somebody? Does anybody have an email address we can talk offline so that I can communicate with him directly? The proposal would be to have him come on June 25th at 9:30 would be the date that we would propose. Or if somebody else wants to be the intermediate, I don't have to be, but just to make sure we coordinate that.
MOU, page 2 of 8, item F. Designate the Lawrence County Natural Resource Committee to carry out the role of the cooperative agency representative. Is that language, are you comfortable with that?
I'm gonna find my copy.
Sorry.
2F.
Under the
Yep.
item 4, the county shall.
I think so, knowing always that the Natural Resources Committee can't bind the county and they'd have to report to you with any action that was taken, if that makes sense. So, yeah, I have no problem.
Senator David?
Well, there's 2 commissioners on that group too. So it's not free at the commission, even in daily meetings or actions.
Commissioner Sleep and Commissioner Jennings are on that. That's a good point.
Just while we're on those amendments to the MOU, on the next page 3 of 8, we've talked about a corrected typo on D, just changing county to county. But I'd also like to propose, if it's all right with the committee, on letter 8 or K of that to include county in formal and
if I can ask, Mitch, did you draft this? I don't have a document to be able to edit this.
Yes, I can send it to you right now, or.
Okay, thank you. And I missed the change. Can you make the changes that if you, I was struggling with my
Yes,
computer.
the typo.
Yeah, in paragraph D, I'm missing an N. And the other one was in what paragraph? K?
Okay, just add GFP.
Yeah.
Please. And we could talk offline about how we want to convey this too.
And I do have the Forest Service email.
Yeah. I'll just
What's your pleasure on
That,
that?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we adopt the recommendations from the National Resource Committee, and send the packet, including the cover letter, the comments on the proposed MOU and our proposed MOU to the Forest Service. Supervisor Sean Cochran.
Okay,
Well, I was just gonna mention,
well, we gotta have a second here.
first.
Further discussion. I'll second it. Further discussion. Commissioner Sleep?
Well, I've dealt with Forest Service for 40 years and learned, and it doesn't matter what they want, what they say they're gonna do. It's up to the man in charge what to do. And it doesn't have to be the same thing as they have written down. There's no law against what they do. They do what they want to do. And that's always been the case, and it's gonna continue to be the case. The guy's down there now, he might be different in his education as far as Republican or Democrat. And like he's gonna get people in there that think the same way he does. And then if you want to change it, it changes very regularly. And it can be altogether different when they change. It doesn't matter if you have Emory or OU. I was on the committee when we first started it, and there was just one outfit from Wyoming that was in there. And then South Dakota or Lawrence County tried to work their way in there. And it only lasted for a year. And then it was all done. They had to start over again. And that's the way it's going to be now. That's just a joke.
Yeah, and I don't disagree with you at all, Commissioner Sleep, that it depends on the personnel and who we have to work with. I think the difference that we see now versus, 10, 15, 20 years ago is the turnover in staff. And that I think there's a greater importance now to have these agreements in place that will carry on to the new staff coming on board. Because, the county's interests haven't changed in the last 30 years since we started this process. I think it was 1992 or 95. With the environmental review ordinance. And so it's important to have a binding agreement for when the new staff comes aboard so that the county can maintain their place at the table. And we're not dealing with the whim of the staff there.
I don't know if they'll accomplish that or not. I'd say you won't.
I don't know either.
Yeah.
We're not going to if we don't try.
Question.
No, then try.
They've asked to call the question.
Uphill battle.
All of those in favor of the motion before us will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay.
Thank you.
Ms. Coleman? Come on up to the table. You're our last order of business.
Get this papers. Or do you want to introduce yourself? Okay. You're good.
As soon as we get rid of some noise here, we'll go.
Noise. There's a lot of noise leaving right now. Right. No, not quite yet. Turn it back up there. I might just say.
Well, just be quiet then.
Okay.
Good luck.
Welcome. We'll let you introduce yourself.
My name is Melanie Coleman. I'm the new Butte Lawrence County 4-H Program Advisor. A little bit about myself is I have a bachelor's and master's in social work. I've lived in South Dakota almost a year. From Washington originally, but born and raised, or from Washington originally, but recently.
Washington State?
Yes.
Okay.
Way over. Most recently New Mexico though. And yeah, I brought a commissioner report for you guys for March. My first day was the 22nd, and it has March and April on it. Most of that month though was training.
Okay.
Some things that I'm working on with the kiddos are, we don't have a dog program currently in the county. So any kids that are interested in the dog project, we have to send them down to Rapid City. So I'm working on kind of getting that up and running for them. And also starting next week, I've partnered with Fish and Game to offer a stewardship, trapping, and conservation class for the kiddos.
Okay.
And on the back, kind of just a little bit of my first month, and then the back shows some pictures. So for kids to show at fair, they have to do a YHL, which is a youth horse literacy class, or YL, which is a youth livestock literacy class, and the one pictured is a livestock literacy class. And we had 44 kids in attendance that night, which is really good. And then below that shows some of our kids in our rodeo club that were working on the fairgrounds a couple weeks ago.
Well, sounds like you're getting busy.
Do you guys have any questions for me?
I'll just comment that Commissioner Sleep and I were on Melanie's interviewing committee, did a fantastic job of interview. She has extensive experience in training for this. I remember.
I do.
She did a very interesting presentation and would be very valuable, I think.
Are you getting interest in the dog park?
I am. We have so far 8 kids registered for the
Oh,
dog
wow.
program.
Okay.
Should have able to Peter. There's a lady down there that can do some work.
Her dog training.
Yeah, we're still online.
It's all right. I don't care.
Yeah, it's one of my
Okay.
passions. I've trained 10 service dogs that have gone on to be guide dogs or great assistance dogs. So that was one need I saw for the 2 counties, so we could definitely grow on.
Lawrence County used to have a good dog program. With some younger kids, but they all got older or moved away.
So I think it kind of fizzled out, and then we started sending him to Rapid, and I was like, no, you guys can stay closer to home. And
Okay, good. Anyone else, any comments or questions for? All right, well, thank you for coming in.
thanks, guys.
It's nice to
Good
meet
luck.
you in person.
Yes.
Items from the commissioners, I think we're down to that. Anyone have?
Back to the non-agenda, I just wanted to know if we had the one letter from the lady that was over in the assisted, not the assisted living, but the
yeah.
controlled. Did that letter get sent to the city of Spearfish?
Yeah, because that certainly should have.
Because it seemed to me like that may be, I don't know where it would fall under our purview, but our concerns are living conditions in one of the tree houses that I think would probably fall under the city of Spearfish jurisdiction. Concerns. I don't know if that got a letter. And I guess Bruce would have been the one.
Really, we didn't have anything to do with it.
No, and she just sent it to Bruce for some reason. I'm not sure exactly why. And I don't know if he forwarded it on to the city of Spearfish or if he just sent it on to us. I don't know.
I'm gonna guess he probably sent it on, but yeah, she's just looking for help anywhere she can get it.
Oh,
yeah. And maybe, it's possible that she talked to the city of Spearfish. I don't have a clue.
Okay.
Just a couple of things. Are you done, Commissioner?
Yes, I'm sorry.
So John Bay brought up the road evaluation. I was looking at the 5-year plan. There was a lot of roads on there that I questioned whether we should be re-graveling. And so I reached out to him to see if we could do a tour. I know that the commission has done that in the past. I'm glad that we can get that set up sooner than later. I would sure like to have us all done with that by July when we go through the budgeting process.
No, it was, Richard and I have been on them, and you have to have been around or two. There's a lot of roads that you go on and you wonder how they got put on the system back in the day and shouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them got on the system because back in the day, one of the employees would take or some of them would, and they'd take the machine home because there's gonna be a storm, and so they plow themselves out and maybe a neighbor or two, and all of a sudden they're on the system.
Yep, and there's been some statute changes that John and I talked about this morning that might encumber us a little bit on how we deal with those. It's going to be hard to take them off the system, but it's possible we could at least move them down to minimum maintenance.
Yeah.
So I think we sure need to be taking a look at that. That's a big part of our budget is road and bridges. The other thing we've talked about in the past was the cell phone policy. You know, as I look through our employee handbook that we have, the policy is that the department heads will determine that appropriate reimbursement for cell phones or cell phone stipends. I think that we sure need to have a better policy than that put some sideboards on that. And so I'm hoping that we can get that worked towards before the July budgeting process also.
My understanding is that the department heads are already working on that, so.
Yep, and I'm glad of that, because that we just needs to know what to expect on that, and the employees need to know what to expect on that also. Lastly, myself, along with a few county employees, Brenda was there, attended the Black Hills Area County Commission, or County Associations of County Boards. One of the speaker there, the speaker was Laura Retzel, who is the Pennington County District Attorney, State's Attorney. And she had a very interesting talk about some of the things that she's learned since taking that position just within the past year. Certainly not all of the things applied to what we, but one thing that struck with me was the communications aspect of it. And you know, we run into some controversial issues in the commission in the past year, and I think that a lot of that we could help if we got a little further ahead of the information on these things. I think what we saw 2 weeks ago, a lot of the public comments were from people that didn't understand the ordinance very well, that didn't understand what we were trying to do. And if we could get some information out on some of those things prior to public hearings, just to let the public know what's going on, we could diffuse a lot of these issues. You know, things aren't like it used to be in the county. Our culture is changing a lot, or somewhat. We've had a lot of people move in, and the days when everybody knew who the county commissioners were and they knew their families and they had respect and trust for them are reducing. We're getting less of that. And these new people that move in, rightfully so, they don't know us, and they don't have the trust value. And so we need to do a better job of communicating what we're doing. You know, it's not just the big things like the ordinance changes, it's some of the little things too that we just need to do a better job of communicating that. And I come from a background of oddly enough communications through South Dakota Cattlemen, where that's all we did was advocate for policy, and communicating what we were trying to do was a very important aspect of that. And I don't think that the county should be any different. So,
how would you do that?
So my thought was perhaps we could work with the paper. We could maybe start out just an article either before or after the meetings, you know, what's coming up or what we've done. You know, even just things like explaining where our property tax goes to. You know, I'm sure we've all heard a lot of comments about the valuations going up and how the county must have a lot of extra money now. And people don't understand that where that tax money goes. I got a report from Brenda the other day that I figured out that, you know, people write one check to the county for property taxes, but 24% of that actually stays in the county. 57% of it was going to the school district. I think it was not, I don't remember what the percentage was, 9, I want to say 9% was going to the cities. And then the other 9% of it was going to road districts, fire districts. Yeah, those entities. So I think it would be helpful if we just got some of that information out. I was thinking maybe we could work with the paper to maybe put an article in. I would love to have an article from the county commissioners every once or twice a month, just to communicate some of that stuff. But looking down the road, I think we should probably look at a position of a public information officer. I could see that being a position for both communication and then also grant writing, which we talked a little bit about, but there's a lot of opportunities out there for grants, but I don't know that any of our county staff has the time to do that. And so I think if we were doing a good job of applying for grants, we could offset some of the salary that it would take for public information. And I would foresee the public information officer not working just with the commission, but also working with the sheriff's department, the planning and zoning, and auditors, all these departments. That occasionally we have information that we need to get disseminated, and we need to do a better job of that.
Okay.
Otherwise, we're just having to sit back and absorb the miscommunication or misunderstandings that we have, the misinformation that's being put out there. And sooner or later, that's just going to create a cancer along of distrust throughout the county. We need to get after it sooner than later.
Yeah. I'd like to mention, to talk more about going out and looking at private drives. We did that a couple of times. I've been on those, and one of the deciding factors there was the Forest Service again. We most of those roads that go in those places that dead end have at least some Forest Service road on there. And if we didn't take care of them at least once a year, Forest Service, in every way getting in there, the Forest Service could have forced them to walk in. And that's where we're at.
Yep. Yeah, there's going to be conditions with every road that we look at, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Some of them have just gotten to the point where they're driveways. And I'm not in favor of the county maintaining driveways.
Well, part of that driveway is the land from the Forest Service.
It is,
Yep. That's the thing you run into right there. It just runs back to that all the time.
Yeah, and I know that you've looked at this issue for quite a while. It gets talked about and doesn't seem like anything done about it.
No. Well, that's the same way with the MOU for the Natural Resources Commission. We talk about it, same thing, and everything has been discussed like it was this time, but nothing happens.
Well, we're trying to make something happen.
Okay, anything further?
I just agree with the communication. I agree with the communication thing, because there's just public hearing information that goes out just tells you nothing and gets everybody all excited.
Yes.
That type of thing needs to be improved. But
Well, just like-
communication, we've got people running for office, have no idea what they do.
There's,
They don't take the time to figure it out either.
Yeah, they won't look it up.
it's just like these letters we're getting about, we've heard through the grapevine that you're going to form a board of adjustment. Well, like I said earlier in the meeting, that's already been in place a long time.
No, it's a very good point from communication.
Okay.
So how would you like me to, I could sure start working with the paper and get some articles in the paper. I know the county has some Facebook opportunities. We can do that. Do you want me to run it by the commission? Or do you want me to do that on my own behalf? What do you feel most comfortable
We ought to all be comfortable with it there. I don't think it's up to individuals to do things. Some of us would do things for one group and not for another, so we'll all need to work together.
Well, it's gonna involve some time.
It is.
Is that something you'd like to take on right now?
I feel strongly enough about it. Yeah, I'll make the time to do it. This is nonsense what we're dealing with right now.
Well,
I would rather spend my time being proactive than to sit there and read the letters that we're getting.
Well, the biggest problem is that a lot of these people are moving in from other states and bigger cities and they.
Motion to adjourn.
They're told that they can do this and they can do that, and they do it, and then they come to the county and want us to pay the road. And that wasn't part of the agreement.
I would certainly be in favor of you taking a run at it, or if you want to spend the time.
I'll put a plan together and certainly welcome any input on what needs to be communicated.
Mr. Chairman, I think I heard reference to one of the letters in non-agenda correspondence with the gal, I can't remember her name, in Spearfish.
Right.
Departments, and I talked to her, and that letter was a result of our conversation. I wasn't sure exactly what she wanted, but I gave her that option. You saw the letter, and I did forward it to Paul, and I think Paul has talked to the mayor about it, Mayor of Spearfish, to follow up. I'm not sure if there's anything that we can do. I don't have anything else to report, but I just didn't ignore it.
Could you make sure that was forwarded to the city council members and the mayor? Just say it was sent to us, to the city council members and the mayor, just to say this was sent to us, and it could be a number of things that fall inside their jurisdiction, whether it be under health code or building permit or something. But it's kind of outside our deal, just to make them aware that we received this if they haven't seen it. That's all, I just wanted to make sure it went to somebody.
Well, a little addition to Eric's again, Bob and I talked with some of the people over in the audience here last month, up to the lodge there, and they're a lot friendlier than they come across.
Yeah.
It's just because of what he said, they don't know what's going on,
Yeah.
and they're trying to bring in their own thoughts and that, and their own thoughts are not good for all the rest of us.
Well, I guess you're ready to charge forward with that and we'll see where we end up. We had a motion to adjourn, so we are adjourned.
They did a good job.
Well, we got through it.
That's a good one.
Uh,
That's one of the good
Oh,
parts.
not yet,
You get
not
through
yet,
it.
not yet.